Hey YouTube, this is Ryder Ryan back. I'm here to do another introduction video, but this time it's not about the channel and it's not about me. It's about what I want to talk about. And the thing that I want to talk about is this idea of basically condensing the complex. And I want this to be more of like an exercise versus like anything that is about, let me give you advice, and there may be some, like tidbits or whatever, but the one thing that I feel like I want to add to it to make it a little bit more unique is and inject my own personality into it a little bit is include some music into it because I'm really passionate about music. Music is the way that I feel, the way that helps me think. I feel like writers are typically introspective and they think internally and they think about themselves and how it relates to the world. And I think I do that, but I also feel like I spend a lot of time being like thinking about things outside of myself. And I feel like if I were to see a therapist, probably one thing they would tell me is like, you know, one, you're obsessive compulsive about trying to uncover things. Oh, so let me get this straight. To have a complete story, I have to have good character introductions. I have to have a plot that's introduced through an inciting incident that is as close to a character introduction as possible to make it compelling. And then on top of it, I gotta have a setting that's introduced through a character's point of view that is determined by how immersive it is. That an immersion is determined by how good your prose is, which is determined by your character voice, which goes back to your character introduction, which is also determined by how close you are to the main POV. Like I don't understand what any of that means. And then somehow on top of all that, you have to save a cat, you have to kick a puppy, you have to know what is concrete, what's abstract. I have to go from telling you that grandma's sipping on tea to introducing a dragon within the first 20 pages. And then on top of it, the cherry on top of all of it is somebody read all this and they told me that I lack voice. Like, can't you hear me? You didn't see that. And then also, uh, I think they would tell me that you're probably way too concerned with things that are outside of your control. So not to harp on anything like that, but that's just something that I feel like personally that I struggle with, and I feel like that's why I have a hard time with this concept of abstraction. It becomes very difficult for me to really understand what somebody means by this is an abstract idea and this is a concrete idea. So really what I intend on doing here is to kind of do like a as I go, we learn together, and that's the way that I want it to be. And the point of the series is to not really give advice, but to just kind of give you tools to learn how to break stuff down, look at them, analyze them, and interpret them. Interpretation is such a big part of art, any form of art, that I feel like it can be translated between music, between physical media such as movies, paintings, writing, and uh, whatever other forms of art that I may not be aware of. So anyway, the reason why I included an quote from the late great Bradley Nowell is because it really illustrates a point that I want to kind of talk to you guys about. Um, I opened it up with this quote that says, "Down in Mississippi, where the sun beats down from the sky, they give it up and they give it up and they give it up and they never ask why." The reason why that I really like that quote is because it's thematic for, you know, the kind of personality that I have. Uh, People give you advice, they give you advice, they give you advice, and I don't ask why, they don't ask why. But what I'm here to tell you today is I'm asking why. So it's really just to try to figure out the why of it, and so that whole quote, that's the whole reason. And to further illustrate that point, I'm going to take an exercise and I'm going to show it with you, and I hope that you guys will participate as well in your own way. So the way that I want to go about this is I have a few more quotes that I would like to show you guys from music. And the way that I want you to think about it is as is this lyric like concrete or is it abstract? And by concrete, I mean like, does this give you a very specific image in your head? Do you picture something? Do you see birds flying in the sky, dropping poop on the car? Or is it abstract? Is it more about feelings and internalization or perception or justice or whatever, something. And so the way that I want you to go about this exercise with me is to say, is this concrete or is this abstract? Number one. Number two, I want you to think about what the words mean to you. And the reason why I want you to do that is because I want to illustrate another point, which is that abstraction is like if I were to have like a curve, right, on the way that people perceive abstract ideas, it would probably be like this spectrum. So the spectrum would be like, do you feel sad? Well, sad for me is different from sad for somebody else. And if I just wrote, this person feels sad, well, everybody's going to kind of interpret it their own different way. And so the reason why I think lyrics are kind of great for this purpose of exploring this idea is that you can kind of get like a unified consensus on one lyric, and then on another lyric you can kind of get a different, understanding. And then also I want you to do another thing, which is look at what the author's intentions were, or the composer, or whoever wrote the piece, and to compare it to your own interpretation and see how that differs. Because even the intention of the author is very specific. And sometimes, some people don't want to explicitly state what the meaning is. And then there's other people that are trying to create an image because they're storytellers. So anyway, I hope that everybody will share the exercise in the comments and with each other, and that way we could kind of see the different opinions of everything. That's kind of the point of this exercise, is to just kind of come together as a community and see things. So remember the two main points of this exercise is to pick whether this is a concrete idea or an abstract idea, meaning let me boil it down even simpler. Can I visualize this, or is this too vague to visualize something? And then also try to interpret the meaning. I will tell you the reason I picked these is because these impacted me in a meaningful way. So I'm going to start with the first one. I'll let you read it. I'll be quiet for a few seconds, and then I'll kind of start talking. You can pause the video if you need longer. So the first one is this Modest Mouse lyric from Float On. So anyway, straight out the gate, the way that I look at it is this is like a pretty abstract concept. So all right, already, we'll all float on all right. Don't worry, even if things end up a bit too heavy, we'll all float on. Now, the reason why I say that is because really, if you look at the words in construction in general, it's kind of like organized in such a way because it's meant to like follow a melody and to convey a message that has been already lifted up with scaffolding. But right now I'm asking you to look at it from just an isolated lyric. And does this and the reason why I say also that it's abstract is I really can't get like a real concrete image out of this. The main thing I would wonder is, where are we floating to? And why are we getting lighter? And stuff like that. Those would be like, you start naturally having more and more questions. Though some people could probably like picture something from this. There's people out there that are extraordinarily imaginative. But anyway, I'll tell you straight up, I feel like the interpretation that I get from this when I first heard it gave me chills. I was in a very, very hard place at the time. I was like thinking about all these things, struggling with a lot of things. And I listened to this song, and it came to the end of the song, and where the emotional climax of music is. And I heard it, and I thought, God, I'm like worrying about all this stuff for no reason. And this is like it's kind of morbid, but it also kind of brought me some peace in a way, which is like, even if everything ends up heavy, we're eventually not going to have to worry about it anymore because we're eventually just going to die and we'll just float on and we'll have this peace. We'll go back to where we once were. And it just brought a lot of peace to my mind knowing that whatever baggage that I build and carry on the earth, it would eventually be gone, and I would just be kind of able to live my life. So anyway, that was kind of my interpretation of it. But if you have something different, like I think from what I've read, the author's intention was to be more positive and upbeat. But since I kind of listen to Modest Mouse, I know a lot of his stuff is kind of what is it called? Like ironic and kind of edgy and stuff like that. So anyway, so here's the next one. It's a song by one of my favorite guitar players of all time, John Frusciante. So anyway, with this one, the lyric is, everyone goes where they belong. Nobody goes elsewhere. Never much thought goes to being. So this is an abstract idea to me as well, because where is everybody going? I mean, I know, like, where does everybody belong, I guess, and why does no one else go anywhere else? And what is this? It's just like it's like a blank area, and I can't necessarily picture anything out of it. And then it's about thinking and internalization, so it's very abstract. And the thing that I get, it's a similar situation to the previous concept, because I always think dark about things, I guess. It's about, to me, like not belonging in a group setting, and like you're different from everybody else, and you're thinking about why everybody else can be together and happy, but you can't, because there's not much thought going into just being, and you think about that too much. So that was kind of my interpretation of it. So again, share it, whatever you think. It's kind of, like I said, this is pretty abstract, so it'd be kind of hard to me. I just, with the music and everything, it changes the experience. And I'll link all the music in the description probably, just so that you have it for reference. Very good songs. I love both of them, but I think the author's intention, John Frusciante, is very pro, like, go with your own interpretation. So I think he just kind of writes stuff. And that probably explains why stuff is so abstract. The next two examples are here. Steppenwolf, one of my other favorite bands. So this one, I feel like, is pretty concrete, because I can kind of picture it. He only had $1 to live on till next Monday. It's a powerful statement in one sentence. It's telling me a lot. He has a single dollar to survive till Monday. I can almost picture this man on the side of the street. It doesn't give me any other description, but I immediately think of somebody that is struggling. It's a very strong concept, and also it doesn't really leave that much room for interpretation, interestingly enough. You get the gist of it. So it's kind of the point here that I kind of want people to see, is like, this is, and honestly, it could be one of those things where I'm interpreting something in a specific way, and you may end up interpreting it as something else. But I have a feeling that everybody's going to kind of interpret it to some degree in a similar idea, I guess. So anyway, and I'm pretty sure, in context with the rest of the song, when you listen to it, you'll for sure know the context. And then finally, it's a newer song that I feel like a lot of people like right now. Ella Langley. I didn't know her name. Another concrete example I feel strongly about. She's from Texas. I can tell by the way he's two-stepping around the room. Man, that's like a very strong, concrete description of somebody that's falling in love with somebody else because they have that shared identity. And I feel like you can get all that from that one single couple sentences. Very concrete. And you kind of get the idea, it's a girl from Texas. The guy's two-stepping. We don't really need to know the relationship between Texas and two-stepping, but we know it's specific to each other. Specificity is another thing that seems to be very important when it comes to concrete ideas. So I hope it was like an interesting exercise to kind of think about. And I kind of also wanted to extend the offer to people because I want them to see to look at other media such as like comic book panels or manga panels or video games or even other book passages or movies. But I kind of like the idea of using and even art. You can interpret art visually in different ways, but it's a little bit, I feel like that leans a lot more abstract unless you're painting something very, very specific. But even if that's the case, it does kind of illustrate the point further. Like if I can look at something and perceive it and know exactly what's being portrayed, then I can say that that's a concrete idea. And the other thing that I like to say is you kind of have to have both as a writer. You have to allow for there to be a little bit of vagueness for interpretation, because if you look at the last two examples, they're so concrete that it really doesn't leave a lot of room for interpretation. You don't really want to go too concrete because then now it takes all the fun out of being a reader and experiencing something. And I feel like very strongly that mystery is your best friend, and that's what kind of drives a story within the shadows of the writing. But you don't want to go too abstract because then nobody will care and nobody will be able to understand what's going on or visualize what's happening. And I feel like those two concepts are very much the backbone of writing. So even though this was an introduction video, I went kind of into detail about it, I really want to go into more detail about it in the next video that I do. So it'll be chapter 1, and the title of that the next video will be All Roads Begin with Abstraction. So I'm going to talk more about writing in that video. I'm going to give a lot of examples, and I really want to try to pull you in and immerse you in the ideas that I'm trying to understand, as well as hopefully start conversations. So anyway, here we go. Back to the initial quote. They give it up and they give it up and they give it up, but they never ask why. I'm right now. I want you to ask why. And when you watch a video, I want you to ask why. And in the next video, we'll kind of start exploring those whys. I think I have a pretty compelling argument for a lot of stuff, and I just hope that you guys will stick around and want to watch more. And not only that, but even if I don't get an audience of any kind, if nobody watches this, I'm still going to keep doing it. Because at the end of the day, it's a very, very good exercise as a writer. Like for myself as an amateur, I feel like I'm getting a lot better. I'm seeing things a lot differently. I'm analyzing things I normally wouldn't analyze, such as like song lyrics and stuff like that. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope you will be around for the next one.